Afternoon, morning-ish. It's 12:21 on a Friday. You know what that means. It's time for another Film Review Friday. Way! Today I figured I'd been putting it off for long enough. We're finally, I'm so happy we're going to do this today. Finally going to review Obsession. I'm assuming if you haven't already, you've heard about Obsession. If you haven't, have you been living under a rock? It's been I would say, the most prominent horror film of the year without a doubt. I think they made it on a budget of $500,000 and it grossed nearly 3 million in its first opening weekend, which broke records for like the film industry as a whole. And there's a reason for that because the film in itself is absolutely brilliant. For a psychological horror film, which is what it is, we'll call it as it is, it does everything perfectly to the letter. Everything from the choreography of the movement, from Nikki. We are going to get into some spoilers, by the way, so if you don't want to watch that, if you don't want to hear anything about the session, you haven't seen it yet, or whatever, please just turn this video off for now. Come back to it when you've gone and seen the film. But for me personally, a few of the standout moments of it would be the choreography of Nikki's actor when she's doing the little backward steps and stuff, where she doesn't look like she's real. She doesn't look like she's a real human. She's possessed by something. Um, like the backwards talking, the backwards moving, the little shot in when Bear wakes up in his bed and he sees Nikki standing in the corner of his room in the dark. I said this to the person I watched this in the cinema with, that her face didn't look real. Her face looked like it was sort of distorted, and it looked really weird. And it's brilliant because it's almost like you're watching it from Bear's perspective of what he's seeing. Is that just in his imagination? Is that in his head, or does her face actually look that distorted and that creepy? A couple things I have noticed about the film, what people have said, is that the Nikki that is sort of possessed version in that film, the one that does all the horrible stuff in this film, is people have said that they've theorized that it's his cat's spirit that's inside Nikki, because when he makes the wish, and I'm gonna swear, so apologies for that. But when he says, "I wish Nikki would love me more than anything in the entire fucking world," snaps the branch. He had recently lost his cat, so I wonder that if when he made that wish, his cat was still on his mind as well. Hence why when Nikki then comes up to him after the wish has been made and says, "Yeah, I lost my cat today," and he goes, "No, I lost my cat," and she goes, "Oh yeah." I feel like that's because Bear had a part of his mind on having lost that only part of his life at that time that he felt like he could rely on and relate to and sort of comfort. So I think that's brilliant if that's what, I can't remember the guy's name, but if the director of the film has gone like that and has said that, has thought, what if we do it like that? That's a brilliant way to make the wish feel like why it's done what it's done to Nikki and why she's become so obsessed with Bear. The gore in it it's few and far between, but there are some very gory moments in this film, specifically with, oh, I can never remember her name either. I only ever remember Bear and Nikki because they're like the most prominent characters. But the actual proper love interest, the person Bear should have gone for in the first place, the girl that's the daughter of the music shop owner, when her death scene arrives, it is incredibly violent, and I think anyone will sort of attest to that. That for a film that doesn't really rely too much on violence, it sure has a gory moment in it. Um, and obviously the guy, I would say personally, the big villain of the film is actually Bear's sort of male friend, who essentially wastes his wish on $1 million, as you will, because then he like rocks up and goes, "Look, I got $1 million," bang, from Nikki, which is just a funny comical moment as well. Um, the music, the score in it works really well. It's a really diegetic tone to use in the film. It's got a very like sort of eeriness to it. It sort of relates to each of the scenes, and the fact that they even work in a music shop and that sort of relates to whole like sound and how sound is a very prominent thing in films is brilliant as well. Um, yeah, like I say, it's just there's so many things about this film that really, really, you really understand why it's grossed as much as it has and why it's got so much praise as it has, because it is just it's flawless in everything it does. Like there wasn't one bit of this film I sat there and watched where I didn't feel engrossed, captivated, and excited about what I was watching, because it it attends to thrill. It enhances your heart. It makes you feel something. It actually gives you new emotions that you didn't think you could experience before. And I think it's a very powerful thing for a film to be made on $500,000 like it was, to have that impact on like media and film as a whole. The fact that it's an indie horror and it's done as well as it has is just brilliant. I am going to be fuming if this film does not get nominated, at least nominated for the Oscars. I have a slight inkling it probably won't win any Oscars, because horror films never do, and especially indie horrors, they get very overlooked um, at the Oscars, which sucks, because I feel like the actress that plays Nikki, especially considering this is her first sort of major role in any film, to have performed it the way she has and as to acted in the film as she has so flawlessly, like you genuinely believe this is a person that is split between the real person, the real Nikki, and the Wish version of Nikki, which is it's just amazing to me that this is her first role and she's done as well as she has to put that to the screen. I like I say, if there are any sort of negatives about the film, I wouldn't be able to spot them, to be honest. Like this film, just genuinely, I think it is the best horror film of the year so far. Like I know we're halfway through, and there are still plenty of other horror films that will come out throughout the year that might overtake Obsession as the best film of the year. But for me, Obsession is just a brilliant horror film. Like it's got some great sort of twists, some great sort of shocking moments in there, like the whole how give me a verdict on the cat chef, and like you understand that she's gone off the rails bonkers crazy, and that's why she's doing what she's doing, because it's the Wish version of Nikki she wants to impress. But you see him eating this sandwich throughout the thing. You don't think anything of it. You don't even think she said she's made him a packed lunch. You don't think anything. Oh, she's going to mess up the packed lunch somehow. You don't think anything of it, because it's such a normal conversation Bear's having with the daughter of the music shop that you're not even focused on the sandwich until she reads out the post-it note that says, "What's your verdict on the cat?" And then you suddenly sit there like, "Oh no." Yeah, stuff like that. That's why I love this film, for those simple but severely shocking moments. Like nothing in here is too crazy out of the ordinary. Nothing Nikki does feels like it wouldn't be set in reality. Everything she does feels very real. No matter whether it's right or wrong, everything she does feels incredibly real, and it feels like she would have had the time in real life to do all of that without Bear even noticing. The ending on it as well, I love the ending on it as well. It's such a sort of darkly sort of horrific ending. The fact that I could even say Bear might even be inadvertently the villain of this film, purely on the basis of the fact that there are multiple points during this film where he can easily, like even Nikki herself, because there's a whole thing in the film that if real life Nikki, the person, the Wish Nikki is asleep, real Nikki then comes out and she actually speaks to him at one point and goes, "Kill me, Bear. I don't like what is happening to me." So there's an inkling there that everything Wish Nikki is doing, real Nikki still feels, because it's still her body. She's still in there. It's a bit like Get Out, where they go into the sunken place where their mind is still in there, but they're not in control anymore. It's a different entity that's controlling their body. And then when Nikki asks Bear to kill her, he sort of essentially is really selfish and just goes, "I'm not doing it. I can't kill you. I love you too much." And it's like, do you really? Is that what real love is supposed to look like and feel like? Because to me, if I was in that situation, I would have done it. I would have done it. I would have understood that, yeah, it's my fault she's acting like this. It's the wish that's caused her to do this, and but he never does it. He never ever does it, and it gets to the point that then his other two friends end up dying, and she ends up making another wish to control him, and he ends up killing himself as a result. Yeah, just I could go on about this film for a very, very, very long time, but I'm cautious that I've already reached the 10-minute mark, and like my videos don't normally last this long. But I just had a lot to say about this film because of how good it is. It really is a top-notch film. And if you weren't caring about the spoilers and you just wanted to watch the review anyway, fantastic. I'm glad. But if you haven't seen Obsession yet, please, please, please go watch it because it deserves as much praise as it is getting. It is top notch, honestly. That is going to do it though for today. I hope you have enjoyed this film review Friday on a very, very hot day. I hope you're all staying well and hydrated and you're all keeping your temperatures as cool as you possibly can do. I will be back next Friday with another review. But until then, my name is Connor. This has been Film Review Friday. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, ta-ta, and farewell.